What's up, everyone? Thank you for checking out and supporting this episode of Raised A Geek. This week, we talk about all the announcements and trailers dropped in the last week from DC, from the Penguin and Batman Cape Crusader trailers to the Lantern series announcement and images of James Gunn Superman leaking from the set. Which ones get us the most excited? Well, let's find out. I'm Chris, and as always, I'm here with my buddy Don. How we doing, man?
Chris, what is up today, my friend?
I don't know what that
Every-
arm waving there. What's up, man?
Everything's okay. Everything is good. Just doing my normal weekend routines, errands, things before a new week. Ready to talk a little DC with you in a little bit. I
Loving
know
it.
DC gets a little buried sometimes, and we like to poke fun at it. But when they have announcements and things, we still want to examine them. So that's what we're going to be here to do. So everything's good. How are you?
Okay, just realized I'm getting old. I sent you guys a
Mm.
photo. I had to get a pair of reading glasses. I already wear glasses, but I had to buy reading glasses because I couldn't see when I was reading. I was noticing I kept having to take my glasses off to read, and I was like, "What? Something's wrong with that." And then if I have my contacts in, forget about it. So
Mm.
had to go buy me some readers, some cheaters, as the old people
That's what
say,
they call them,
my
cheaters.
cheaters. And I was trying to analyze the name of that. Like, what the hell's a cheater? Like cheating at vision because you could see. Like, why are they called cheaters?
Remember that show Cheaters that used to be on where it was like
It's
they
still
would
on.
they would chase after you with the camera crew if the dude was cheating, and then the host got stabbed on that boat,
Yeah, he
and
did. Yeah,
and
he did.
that's when the show basically I thought ended, but you say it's still going, but
There,
yeah,
I don't think it's still going, but they still play them. Like VH1 is just cheaters. They just do cheaters marathons every day. It's kind of like
oh,
MTV is just ridiculousness episodes over and over again.
uh-huh,
VH1 is just cheaters episodes, and they're all the old ones, so they're just replaying them
yeah.
over and over again. But
Well,
yeah,
I'm sure they have a long, huge library, so that's funny. But well, that's so wild. I was
that was
really
a
did get
show.
stabbed on camera, like help. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
all right, this show can't exist anymore. You got people, hosts getting stabbed.
Well, that's some raw emotion there
Yeah,
that you're dealing with, and you don't know how who people are, or you don't know who these people are
yeah. That
because
was
you're
probably
only
like
you're only investigating one. Like, so
right.
the woman thinks their man's cheating. So you're like
Mhm.
talking about the woman and you're following the dude. You don't know that dude.
Right,
You don't know what he's got on him because he's not part of your show. Like, his part
right.
of the show is for you to, aha, gotcha.
Yeah,
People don't react well at being got.
yeah. Pulling out a knife is what we call an ad lib.
Yeah,
That's just
yeah, that
shooting
was
off the cuff. That's off script
that
right
was
there.
definitely off script. I do not think they planned that one at
No.
all. Yeah, it's crazy shit. So I got some cheaters, and
Yeah.
hopefully it doesn't turn out the same way for me.
Yeah. I hope not.
Hope not. Hope not. Well, Don, I know as we get started talking about this conversation, I kind of wanted to know, we haven't talked all week. What you been geeking out on, as we used to say here on
Mm.
this show? What you been watching, reading, playing? What's got you excited this week within the geek universe in which we like to spend our time in?
Sure. Yeah, it's good to get this little segment back. Talk a little outside stuff, maybe.
Stuff we
What
don't have
kinds of
time to talk about on the show.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Been trying to fit a few things in here and there. Kind of my focus at the moment has been trying to get through The Bear
Hmm.
season 2 because season 3 just released. I think it
It
did,
did.
yeah.
I started
Which
seeing reviews and spoilers dropping
yeah,
today.
yeah, and like kind of based on the conversation we had last week, it's freaking binge all episodes at once, which I'm not a huge fan of because people are already talking about the finale, whatever. So I don't care. I'm going to do it at my own pace. But I had to get through season 2. So I kind of started that a week or so ago. I've been trying to work my way through. The thing that stands out to me the most, and obviously I'm not going to do spoilers because there's people out there like me who haven't watched it. I know you haven't watched it. um, it's a good show. Obviously, people out there probably know what it's about. Like the based filmed in Chicago, which is also rewarding for people who live here like me because like they show a lot of stuff and like, oh, I've been there. They go to a restaurant like, oh, I know where that place is. That's pretty cool. But this season 2, episode 6, entitled The Fishes or Fishes. Um Not going to talk too much about it for those who haven't seen it, but it is um probably one of the most anxiety ridden.
Was that the family dinner episode?
the family dinner episode, one of the most anxiety ridden. It's almost like a horror movie in a way. It's just so, it's like better than most movies I've seen last year, that episode of TV, and it's longer than the other one, so I knew it was going to be something. Like most episodes of The Bear are like 30 minutes, and this one was like an hour. I was like, well, okay, well, something's
Jesus.
going on in this one. But yeah, it's got like Jamie Lee Curtis and Bob Odenkirk and um a bunch of other people I can't think of right now. Who's that comedian who did Baby J?
Oh, John
Um,
Mulaney.
John Mulaney's in it. A few other people who aren't part of the normal cast, and it's like a flashback standalone episode to a Christmas dinner. And there's just, I was on the edge of my seat, like feeling heart palpitations the whole time. It's just crazy TV.
I don't
So
know
it's a,
how you watch
mhm.
that show.
It's, I mean,
For
it's,
just you're the type of person, like you said, that gets embarrassed for other people
yeah, yeah.
and usually try to stay away from anxiety type things. So I watched the first three episodes of season one on Friday, and
Hmm.
I was struggling with just like the yelling and stuff. I was like, I don't know what's happening in the show. They're just yelling, and I stopped listening to yelling. So I was struggling to that, and then to hear you talk about these types of things, I'm like, how did you make it that far, Doug?
Yeah, I don't know. I try to remember it's a script and it's not real life.
Hmm.
And just
Yeah,
like, oh, this is entertainment and this is making me feel a certain way. But yeah, man, and I don't know. Good episode. Season's been going good so far. So trying to work my way through that. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I've been up to this week. How
nice.
about you, my friend? What have you been geeking out on this week?
I've been a few things. The one that came out of nowhere that I'm kind of excited about that I started messing with on Friday night was they just, I found out, released Beyond Good and Evil, the 20th anniversary edition of a PS2 game from 2003. And they did a 20th anniversary drop. To me, it was a shadow drop. I had no idea this game was out. I just all of a sudden saw it on the PlayStation Store and was like, "What is this?" And I looked it up, and it's basically like a 4K remaster. I think they added a new mission, just some stuff to that game. But that's kind of almost a cult classic type game. Came out in 2003, got super critical reviews, but nobody played it. And they've announced a sequel like in 2008 that's still, as of right now, pretty much vaporware. It's like, is this game still exists? Ubisoft keeps saying it does, and they're still working on Beyond Good and Evil 2, but they haven't shown a trailer or anything from it in like a decade. So it's kind of crazy, but I jumped back into that. I picked it up. It was 20 bucks. I was like, you know what? Let me support the game that I did. I played it. I have it on PS2. I played it. It was very surprising. I forgot why I ended up with it, but I ended up playing through it relatively quickly. It's not that long of a game. And even just playing it for a few hours on Friday night, I'm already like 45% through the game. So it's not a very long game, but it's a you kind of take place in another universe in which your main character and it, like basically there's humanoid versions of animals walking around everywhere. So you have like the rhino, like Jamaican rhinos that are running the repair shop. Yeah, they throw in a cultural warning at the top. When this game was made 20 years ago, we were insensitive to things.
Things were
So
different. That's
don't be insulted about the Jamaican rhinos.
that's like the same thing they did in the Metal Gear remakes. Like
Mhm.
this game was made at a certain time where sexism and was abound because that
Yeah,
game is full of sexist references.
yeah,
Same
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, same type of thing, but you have all these animals, and then it's basically a semi-open world game, but for the most part, it's a small world, which I kind of appreciate as we get bombarded with these huge, games and 100-hour games. So it's nice to kind of jump into a little bit more older type game. But it's one where you're taking pictures of like animals for money, and then you're just trying to solve a conspiracy where these aliens are invading this planet, and you're trying to figure out if the government is good or bad. And trying to either work with the aliens or stop them, and you don't really know. So you're part of an underground faction. So I just got recruited into the underground faction. I'm going to try to find out what's happens to the people that the aliens are kidnapping. But it's just kind of a fun game. I know it's got some stealth elements, it's got some action elements, it's got some photo taking elements. So it's kind of can get crazy when a creature is running at you and you want to take its picture before it attacks you, so you can get some cash. Um, but I remember enjoying the hell out of it 20 years ago when I played it, so I was excited to jump back into that. So I've been put a few hours into that and was hoping to get back into it and knock it out. I've really been enjoying 10-hour video games. I've been trying
Hmm.
to find ones that are like anywhere from 6 to 10 hours. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe that's my sweet spot of game. that I just have the most fun with. I start trying to play games that are longer. I was like debating if I was going to get back into Elden Ring because of the DLC dropping and starting playing it. I'm just like, I'm never going to play this game. Like, I'm never going to put the time required in it. So why struggle with it? Why sit there and like feel bad about myself for wanting to do it but not doing it when I know I won't? So let's find some 10-hour games and let's play through some games that, give me a nice concise story, nice little fun bite-sized adventure. That's where I'm at right now in my life until another Final Fantasy game comes out.
Attention span. We dealing with the attention span
Attention
issues.
span, but then just time, you
That
know?
too. That too.
Just when do you play and then when do you watch and when do you read and when do you do all these things? So,
It's the
but
eternal
yes,
struggle. Eternal
eternal
struggle.
struggle. But beyond good and evil, the 20th anniversary is what I am geeking out on currently. Hopefully this afternoon I'll get a couple more hours in and see how that game holds up. But so far, so good.
Ooh.
But Don, let's talk about some DC media roundup. We had all kinds of stuff. I wanted to start with
Mm.
probably the biggest DC hero there is, Superman. We all
Oh,
know
I thought you were gonna say the penguin.
the Penguin. No, I think I was originally going to do this by release
Sure, sure, sure.
order, but I think
Makes sense.
Superman's the bigger talking point here. That I don't
Hmm.
remember the order in which that happened when we got these Superman set leaks, and we really got to see. I mean, I don't remember if we talked about it here, but a few weeks ago or a month ago, we got the first like image that everybody photoshopped the shit out of Superman sitting on his bed, putting on his shoes, looking all sad while aliens were destroying everything. It's a very confusing image, very polarizing image. A lot of people had very mixed reactions about it, and the photoshops were hilarious. I still have
Yes.
one of him trying on shoes in a Payless as
It's
my
just because
wallpaper
it's
on my
because
phone.
the position they put him in, just like leaning down, whatever. But yeah, people were talking about it a lot because of the choices that were made. Like, this is the first way you want us to see Superman. Like, it's kind of in the shadows. His suit's all dirty. In the background is some weird cityscape with like something weird going on in the sky. It just seemed like a very odd, to us anyway.
Yeah,
To
yeah. I don't know
an
why they
odd
chose
first,
that image.
yeah, an odd first official look. But
Then you had the nerds that were like analyzing the suit. Look at the creases in the suit. Look at how bad
mhm.
this suit is. It's so cheap because of the creases.
It's baggy on him.
It's baggy on him. He has no muscles.
Hmm.
Yeah, the geeks out there, which I am one, but there's a level of geekdom, and I am not that level.
Sure.
Uh, so we got a little bit more like in action shots of the suit, a little bit more brightly colored versions of the suit. I'm sure you can look up, or if you're listening, this chances are you've seen it. If not, type in Superman set images, and
Yes.
and they will pop up all over. But if you've been on Twitter and you follow any kind of realm of geekdom, you've seen the images of Superman, you've seen the images of Clark Kent, you've seen maybe some spoilers and some villains. I know Frank
Grillo.
Grillo's character of was I was gonna say Rick Grimes, but I know that's not right. Um,
Rick Flag.
Rick Flag Senior. Seeing
Hmm.
him taking Superman, looking I guess spoilers maybe for something, but he's kind of getting carried away in handcuffs with the military presence. So Superman's being detained for something. But
He's
I'll,
he's he's always being detained for something.
yeah, what's crazy is like we've seen this before.
Sure.
He did this.
We don't know the context of
We
what
don't
it's
know
going
the
to be, but yeah.
context, but
Yeah.
it's all imagery that we've seen before.
Hmm.
But I guess the first thing is this was the first time really seeing the suit in action, seeing it at least in real life. Clearly, this is without filters. So the suit looked really good with that bright blue and red. Hopefully, that's the colors that we get to see when the movie is finished and they don't wash out the colors like Snyder did. But what do you
Mm.
think, man? What do you think of these first Superman images?
Yeah. Well, I definitely feel better about it than that first official look that James Gunn released. Again, still confused by that a little bit. Like, I know they kind of wanted to show it. Maybe it was after a fight or something, and the suit's all dirty. But I think the first official look should have been something closer to this. Uh, One of the biggest things people have harped on for over the years on the Snyderverse is, like you said, the color choices of the suit. And the blue isn't blue. It's like a dark tinged, almost black, like super dark blue where you can't even tell it's blue. Grays, there's grays, and the red isn't bright. It appears that James Gunn has changed that, and this is the kind of Superman suit that we're more accustomed to. If you're reading comics or you're a fan of the Christopher Reeve films or even the Superman Returns with Brandon Routh, just like very bright blue and red and yellow. And that's just to me a better look for
Hmm.
Superman. That's just what I'm used to. Not to mention the trunks. I love the trunks being back, of course.
Yeah,
That's just, I mean, I know they took those away to give it a more of a modern and gritty look. And ooh, in the Snyder world, he would never have red trunks. I don't care about what your Snyder world rules say. Like Superman with trunks is Superman.
right.
So that to me is good. I know you mentioned a lot of people said things like the suit, it looks baggy on him. You can't see any muscle definition. Well, in the comics, there's not always muscle definition. A lot of people make choices where he's like just like Smallville country strong big dude.
Yeah,
Like if you read Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale's Superman for All Seasons, he's just a big hulk of man. He doesn't have ripped abs and ripped muscles and like you can see it in the skin tight suit. No, he's just a big country strong dude.
yeah,
And to me that's kind of what this look is more going for. Like you don't need to see Superman with an 8 pack to know he's a strong dude.
yeah.
So I got no issue with that. He just looks like a big Superman. Um, the only issue I do take is when you get close, it kind of has those modern Marvel style like creases and armor looking folds in
Yeah,
the
there's
suit.
plates of armors in there.
Yeah, I mean, I could do without that. It's not like uh an entire mood killer to the whole thing, but it's like, I would have maybe preferred not to have that. It really doesn't bother me that much, but if I'm nitpicking, that might be the only thing. But overall, man, I like the way the suit looks. We've also seen Lois Lane, and I saw something with Lex Luthor and a couple other people like Perry White and everything. So that also raises the question: how do you feel? We'll talk about it. How do you feel about set leak pictures? I know we live in a world where it's just a thing that's going to happen. We saw Wolverine's suit before we were supposed to, so it's just going to be a thing that will never go away.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, but overall, yeah, man, I'm digging it. Like we've been down on the James Gunn DC world just because like it feels like nothing has been happening. But I just am glad they're filming this and like getting started on it is just steps forward is steps forward to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'll
yeah.
always be excited for a Superman movie.
Hmm.
Superman. I was excited for Superman Returns when that came out. I was excited for Man of Steel. That one paid off. Um, I'm always going to be excited about Superman. I'll be excited about this one when the time comes. Will it be good? No idea. Are my hopes super high? No. I'm going to go in with extremely low expectations, at least till I see the first trailer. So I can't really say shit now. But I agree with you on the suit. I enjoy the overall aesthetic of it. Obviously, from the set photos, I enjoy the colors. My nervousness comes from the fact that the official image didn't look like that. And Henry Cavill's set photos were pretty bright red and blue as well. So once you start throwing color filters and stuff, who knows what this thing's going to ultimately look like. So hopefully James Gunn sticks with that. I know that's a huge criticism of the Snyder and Henry Cavill Superman. So hopefully he doesn't try to mimic the darker, edgy, gritty tone. Let's make Superman Batman. Superman is not Batman. But overall, yeah, I don't need the armor plating. It kind of, I don't know, has a different kind of style to it. But I like the idea of this Superman being a little bit more, like you said, country strong, a little bit more bulky, just big dude um versus, like I said, ripped Henry Cavill.
Hmm.
Brandon Ruth wasn't, he was kind of, him and Christopher Reeves kind of went a little bit more almost scrawny. I know that's not true or fair really to say in any way, because I know Christopher Reeves packed on muscle to do that role. And I'm sure they
But
both did, but they
But
came across,
bulky, yeah, bulky looked different back then
yeah,
in those times.
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? It
yeah.
wasn't the same. Yeah.
If anything, it was more like this, where it was
Mhm.
just you just had the size over other people, so it was believable that you threw a punch, not Henry Cavill like I'm a bodybuilder. um, doing this thing. So yeah, I'm there. I really enjoy uh, looking at seeing the pictures of like Clark Kent and really seeing that they do look almost different. Like I don't know who this dude is, but this is one of the first times that I'm looking at Clark Kent and honest to God, looking at just the set photos of them side by side, I could almost not know they're the same person. just because
You,
I don't know who this dude is. So like
yeah.
having that curly hair and push down in front of his face and doing some of that stuff in a passing glance, I could miss it. Why are you shaking your head at me?
I just no, I was just thinking of a joke that I saw online. People were like, "That looks like Tony Khan's hair from AEW,"
Oh yeah,
just like the little
it
curly
does.
top, like Tony Khan walking around.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
Clark Kent. Okay, I could see that.
the
I
hair
can see that.
difference is cool though. Like he should do that more.
Yeah,
If you
I
just
like that idea.
throwing on a pair of glasses ain't gonna fool nobody. You gotta change your whole kind of aesthetic up. So
Yeah.
that's a good choice.
Yeah, I liked that idea. And I know, and this doesn't really mean anything to me, but I know in the set photos everyone was super excited about Ultraman possibly being there. I know James Gunn was like, nothing's official unless you heard it from me, but there's a dude with a giant U on his chest in these images. So I know people are excited about that possibly being a thing. I don't know. I always thought Ultraman was one of those like Japanese Power Ranger ripoff guys. So I'm not a DC dude, so I don't really know what Ultraman is.
I think he's like an alternate universe version of Superman in the comics.
Okay.
Um, but I've also seen people like you're reading too much into that that it's not Ultraman, that it's a completely different character altogether. So
Yeah.
just more speculation from leaked set photos again, which is what
Yeah,
we're
which
kind of
is the
dealing with.
worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do without, to answer your question previous, I could do without set photos. I do not necessarily like them. I usually don't look at them, but I do like to see Superman. So I was going to take a little peek there.
I think the thing is like leaked set photos just more or less represent an excitement level from
Yeah,
people that they can't wait to see what it is. We got
right.
this with Superman. We were getting it with Deadpool, Wolverine, but like not everything gets this treatment. Like they just
No.
finished filming Wonder Man for Marvel for a Marvel TV show. Haven't seen or heard anything. People aren't like clamoring for photos of Wonder Man on the internet. But when it comes to Superman, everyone's like, I gotta see it. What's going on? I want to know. Oh my God. So
What is
that's
this movie about? What is going to be
yeah.
different about it? What is going to be? It's the same reason that we're sitting here being like watching from afar, going, is this going to be good? There's a lot of people that are already like over the moon for this thing and they are just ready for it and they want every piece of knowledge and they want to know everything that's going to happen in this movie and what's it about? Where's it going? And they just need to have this information where I'm trying to step back from that and just being like, I don't know about this.
Yeah, but like I said, it just goes to show people's interest level in Superman is still high.
Yeah.
And that's always been a question over the years is how can you present Superman to a modern day audience and make it interesting when it's hard to come up with a story for Superman to tell live action? Like it shouldn't be though. He's a character that the general public still loves and it gets excited for and wants to see. So um I don't know. I'm kind of with you. I'm feeling a little uh I'm just waiting with bated breath. I'm not giving it too much excitement. I'm not putting all my expectations to a high level just to be disappointed. I'm excited there's going to be another Superman movie that I get to go see. So,
Yep.
yep.
Hopefully it's a good standalone movie. Hopefully I know it's supposed to be like the launch of this DCU. Hopefully it's not a big thing where they're going to spend all the time setting up all these other different branches of this universe. Hopefully it's just a good like Iron Man was, yeah, give us a little tease at the end after the credits or whatnot to of what's to come, but let this movie stand on its own as just being a solid Superman movie and not be just a rehash. The fact that James Gunn is saying Lex Luthor is the main antagonist makes me slightly nervous as to what this is, because that's usually what we always get with Superman. So I'd like to see something a little bit different. So hopefully we do. And James Gunn is weird enough to do that. So hopefully that's what we got. Jumping over to the other end of the DC spectrum, we got more Batman content coming up in a couple
Hmm.
different forms. First one that came out was the Penguin. We got the full trailer. We had a little like teaser of it a couple months ago, but this week we got a full trailer for it for the show that drops here in September on HBO. And this show, we got a little bit more detail into what the show is, and it takes place 1 week following the events of the Batman, and the series explores the rise of power of Oswald Cobblepot slash Penguin in Gotham City's criminal underworld. So it was a very different kind of look than I was expecting. I didn't know what this show was about until I watched this trailer. What'd you think about it?
Yeah, Penguin. I like what I see. I do like what I see. And a lot of that has to do with well, one, it's just kind of more of an extension of Matt Reeves' Batman, which like we both said we really both enjoyed. We have an episode about it, talking about that movie and how great it was. Um, Kind of even in an unexpected way. We're sitting here comparing that movie to Dark Knight. Which one's better? Like the whole world was doing that because it is really that good.
Yeah.
So I like seeing an extension of this world into a series. It looks like, it's on the same level, production level as that movie. Matt Reeves has his hands in this. But like my main reason for my excitement level for this show comes from just my love for gangster, the gangster side of Gotham City, uh the Falcones, the Maronis, like that whole crime, mafia mobster stuff. I
Yeah.
just have loved that ever since Batman the Long Halloween, which is still my favorite Batman comic book. Whenever Batman's kind of dealing with that side, he's not fighting Mr. Freeze, he's not fighting Killer Croc, he's not fighting Bane, he's just trying to take down the gangland side of Gotham City. And when we get stories with that, I just eat that stuff up. I don't know why. I really don't. I just think it's an awesome story to tell in Gotham. So this dealing with that, and Penguin kind of get it before he becomes the, flamboyant out there Penguin. He started as, kind of like a gang enforcer, and it's his rise through those families and how he's going to get to become, one of Batman's arch villains. Um, yeah, it looks cool, man. Like a lot of the gun work, the crime stuff going back and forth, the family aspects. I think I'm really going to enjoy this show. And Colin Farrell, I think I'm so happy that he wanted to do this. Like he
Right.
didn't really have to do this. He doesn't have to put on a bunch of prosthetics to make money. He's a Oscar nominated guy.
Yeah.
He could have done anything, but he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll be Penguin again." That's like awesome. And I thought he did a good job in the few scenes he did get in the Batman. Very believable. Like that's some of the best prosthetic work you're ever going to come across. Like go
We got
look
in
at Colin.
arguments over what if that was him or not,
Right.
because you
Right.
saw him in the trailer and I'm like, that's not Colin Farrell. That's the Penguin. Like
Yeah.
we got in arguments over which one was Colin Farrell and the Penguin.
Yeah. So a lot to do with that, and I'm gonna be enjoying this show. It got elevated from a just a Mac show to an HBO show. I don't know what the difference is, but they're kind of making it seem like there is a difference. Like, oh, it's not just a Mac show, it's a HBO Sunday show or something. Um, so I feel like there's some excitement to go with
There
this
is a
show.
difference.
I know there's a difference, but I'm saying like in the end, there's really not because it's just on Max too. So
Yeah,
it's
no.
really what is the difference. But I guess that you say HBO presents or Max presents, there's some conceived difference between people. Like HBO seems more important. It sounds more important. So whatever. But yeah, man, I'm excited for this one. I really can't wait to do this. It makes me want to watch Batman again. I think I've only seen it once, The Batman. Um, so yeah, I'm ready to dive back into that Matt Reeves Gotham. How about you?
Yeah, I my hype level for this show was relatively low. Like the little teaser that they gave, I was kind of like, okay, see what it is. I don't know. Watching this trailer took it to almost must watch for me. I didn't realize this show was taking place pretty much like a week after the Batman. I thought it was going to be a prequel of some kinds, like just more diving into the Penguin, and I didn't realize this was direct aftermath and
Mhm.
that it was about, the death of Falcone in that movie and the flood and just like the chaos in which Batman ripped through the underworld in that movie. And this was the aftermath of that as everybody's scrambling for power, the main antagonist being Sophia Falcone, doing that, which was played by what, Christina Maloney?
Mhm.
Falcone Maloney?
Conan Maloney.
I closed the tab, so I can't remember. But like Kristen, yeah, it starts with an M, something or other.
Okay.
Um,
Mhm.
I like her, and seeing her as an antagonist would be really kind of fun to do. So yeah, the gangster vibe, the fact that this was a almost a sequel to the Batman, just really kind of showing what's happening in the underworld and who's going to rise to power. within that underworld by the time we hit to the Batman 2, which unfortunately isn't coming till like October of 2026 or something stupid. So we might get multiple seasons of this show before we get a sequel to that movie. Um, but no, I'm 100% here for this movie. Sunday night, we talked many times about our Sunday night HBO shows and just loving watching whatever they put on that time. And if this is going to take that period of time and not just be a max drop where they drop, here's the whole season of the show or something stupid, um, the fact that they put this on a prestige night shows that they have faith in it. And I do watching that trailer. I really was pumped for it.
Yeah. Not to mention, I thought while you were saying, I did see a rumor recently or the other day, and take rumors for what you will, but there was something out there that Robert Pattinson will appear as Batman in this,
Oh, really?
which would be a hell of a thing to see. That would be, even if it's the smallest of cameos, just
Yeah.
like one thing with him would be great. Um,
Yeah, give him a scene or I mean we should see him again before. I mean, if
mhm.
they're gonna want to keep building this out and doing more with it, then like we need
Yeah.
2026 is a long time. That's still
Yeah.
over 2 years away for us to see a sequel to
And what's it been already 2 years at least since that movie?
that
So
came out,
it's
yeah,
been,
like 2021
yeah. Mm,
or 2022. But even regardless, it's been 2 years since we've seen that movie. We're looking at 5 years. I understand wanting to take time, and I appreciate them not wanting to rush it, and that's great. But come on. And I looked it up. It is Kristen. I don't even know how to say it now that I found it.
exactly.
Milates,
Malatis or something.
something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, she was
All
on How
right.
I Met Your Mother, and she's been in a lot of other stuff. She had another show on Max. She had a Max show.
Okay.
She was like a robot or something. I don't know. Anyway,
Very
no, we're
good.
not here to talk about that, but I'm excited to see her as the villain and have some of that stuff. So I think that'll be a good time. Another thing that excited the shit out of me this week was the Batman Cape Crusader. Don sent me a trailer. I watched it on my phone, and the words out of my mouth was "holy shit." And Amazon, I don't know who passed on this show. HBO passed on the show. Is
hmm
that who passed on it and ended up on Amazon? I'm so glad that everyone stuck with it. Talking about creative teams, which we're going to talk about here in a second when we get to our Lanterns series announcement discussion. But this one has a hell of a creative team too, basically still having like Matt Reeves' world
Produced.
universe tied into it, and Bruce Timm, who did the original Batman animated series. But basically, we're getting a return of Batman the animated series, which I didn't realize that's what this was.
hmm
But watching that trailer, holy shit, man.
Yeah, man. I talked about the first two. You give me your thoughts on this before I go. Cape
This
Crusader.
this looked amazing. I know I texted you. I didn't think, especially this soon, that something was going to give X-Men 97 a run for its money as a what is the word? It's not a remake. It's not a. It's like
Reboot.
a reboot, a reboot of a classic series. And I didn't realize that's what this show was really supposed to be. I didn't know that's what Hamish Linkletter was supposed to be trying to do his Kevin Conroy impression. I didn't realize the animation was going to be spot on with those things. I just didn't know. I just thought it was going to be a Batman cartoon. But watching this thing, I felt like I was watching the Fox cartoon, the Batman animated series. It had that vibe. And the fact if they do with this show what X-Men 97 did, which was basically make the same show, but then actually turn up the adult. And if
Mhm.
they actually make this a little bit more darker, a little bit edgier, a little bit more just, I mean, Batman the animated series was adult as hell anyway. But if they're actually lean into that just a little bit more, can you imagine how good this show would be? Like I'm
Mhm.
super pumped for this show. The lineup of villains, the way that they're doing stuff, new looks on Harley Quinn. I mean, if we have to get Harley Quinn again, give me something different. I'm I'm here for everything that that trailer gave, and it became like one of my most excited things to watch this summer. I know we're
Yeah.
talking about all the shit that's on here in June that we're trying to watch The Boys and we're trying to watch The Bear and we're trying to watch House of Dragon and some other garbage starts here soon.
The Acolyte.
The Acolyte, yeah, we're trying to get through we're getting through the Acolyte, for better or worse. Um, but yeah, this just it scratched every nostalgia bone that could have in the best way possible for me.
Oh yeah, I gotta agree here. Surprise, surprise. But
Mm.
Yeah, it looks great. It's another nostalgic blast from childhood, like you said, just like we just had X-Men 97, and now we have this, which is just a kind of a continuation of the other favorite superhero show from our childhood.
Right.
Looks great. Like you said, Bruce Timm having his hands in it is fantastic. He's the mind behind all that original Batman animated stuff. Um, I do like the use of, or at least what we see from the trailer. I like the use of a lesser known villains. I like when you can kind of, we've Joker has had plenty of stuff. Riddler
Right.
has had plenty of
Right.
stuff. So when you start using, with the exceptions of like Catwoman, even though it looks like a different style Catwoman, like a younger Catwoman and Harley Quinn, but besides that, you have people like you said, a new look Harley Quinn. There's a Clayface in there who looks like a different kind of Clayface. We did see Two Face, but it's a totally different looking, redesigned Two Face. It just
Yeah.
looks totally disgusting and
Hmm.
weird. And even villains that I, being a huge Batman fan, like don't even really know. Like
Like
there's a guy named
onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia. Like who the fuck is that? I
I don't
guess
know.
I
While
guess
I
we're
was
gonna.
putting notes together for this, I saw like the internet freaking out about the fact that they showed that, and I was learning a little bit about that character and
Mhm.
how that's technically a Kevin Smith character that was created.
Okay.
And he's had a two-part comic book series that's still sitting on a cliffhanger, and it's been years with no sign of them actually finishing the arc with that character, and people freaking out wondering if they're going to do it in this show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know
Okay.
who that is.
Yeah, I mean, but that's just gonna be fun for us. You know what
Hell
I
yeah.
mean? Like, um, so yeah, super excited. One of the biggest things for me is I cannot, for the life of me, understand why HBO would pass on this, why Max would pass on this, because everything DC is in Max. They
Yeah.
basically have everything DC you can think of. So we got this brand new show that's about to be an extension of Batman the Animated Series from 1994, like one of the most celebrated and lauded animated shows ever, let
Right.
alone superhero animated shows ever. This is a continuation of it. You have it. It's coming to you because you have DC, like you have Warner Brothers, you have all that stuff, and you say no, and now that stuff's going to now Amazon's like, okay, we'll take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I cannot see a world where this show will not be watched and talked about, and I just for the life of me can't understand why they were why they did. Maybe it had to do with budgeting, money, whatever the
You
case
know, that's
is.
all Warner Brothers, and I mean, they're the ones that canceled Batgirl to take some
And
money, to
this
take a
kind of
tax
was
write-off.
around that same time when Batgirl got canceled and they said they were passing on Cape Crusader. But like I'm with you. Thank God Amazon came in and said, "Oh yeah, we'll do it. No problem.
Well,
Where can we sign? How much money is it going to cost?"
Amazon makes a lot of stupid decisions when it comes to their content, but the one thing that we've talked about
They're
over
getting
and over
better.
again, they're getting
They're getting
better,
better. Yeah.
and their superhero game is phenomenal.
Hmm.
They don't screw around with like weird superheroes. They pick projects that are just money. And my only hope is that they're not going to drop this all at one time. I
Sure.
really hope this is a week to week thing like X-Men 97 was. I really I really hope it is, and I hope, like I said, I'm just super excited. Now, how do you feel about this show possibly looking like it's kind of another Batman origin?
Did you get
Like
that vibe?
I got that vibe, and I mean, just even reading through the like synopsis for it, it's just like billionaire's parents are slain, and he must do some of those things. So I kind of have a that vibe where we're kind of going back and kind of retelling the younger Batman, especially coming off of the Batman being that. I feel like this is going to be another like year two or year three Batman. That was what I got out of it. I could be wrong, but especially looking at some of those like more obscure villains, those always seem to be in like the first couple years of Batman.
See, to me, there's a difference in origin and young.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I don't mind exploring the young years of Batman. Um, one of my favorite comics is Batman Year One from
Right.
Frank Miller, and that's just it is an origin story, but it's also kind of a story where Gotham is
Bad.
getting bad and just getting him
Yeah.
at the same time. So it's like his first appearances, the cops freaking out, not knowing who is this mass vigilante, like,
Hmm.
and he's viewed as just as much of a menace as the villains.
Hmm.
Like, where'd this guy come from? Oh my God, we got to arrest him. I do like those stories.
And
Like,
that's what this one feels like because they were talking about now he's attacking the cops and they were doing
right.
stuff like that. So I feel like this is definitely young Batman. Hopefully it's not an origin straight up. Like I don't need to see the creation of Batman again.
Right. It's yeah, that's to me is different, but like young Batman stories, I kind of like them better than old grizzled Batman stories where I don't know, it just adds an extra wrinkle to the storytelling of the town getting used to him at the same time as seeing all these villains pop up and then, you know, finally realizing he's on our side.
Yeah.
It's so I'm not too worried about that being
Yeah, as
a
long as it's not, as
distraction.
long as I don't have to watch the origin
Mhm.
episode, he's Batman.
We've
Because I
seen
think even the animated series didn't really dive into it,
no.
just started
Yeah.
and
We
Batman
we've
was there.
we've seen Thomas and Martha die in that alley too many times. So I'm good on that. We're good.
Right. Absolutely. So yeah, we'll be here talking about that show, I'm sure, here in a month's time when we hit August 1st, and that drops on Amazon Prime. And we'll see how they drop it and what we get. But I'm super, that became like my must see of the summer, I think. And then the last series we want to talk about that got a series announcement this week is Lanterns over at HBO. It officially got picked up. This was announced when James Gunn did his DC State of the Union, what feels like years ago, and talked about this show. And it's been officially picked up by HBO. The series follows new recruit John Stewart and Lantern legend Hal Jordan, two intergalactic cops drawn into a dark Earth based mystery as they investigate a murder in the American heartland. One of the things you sent me this, you sent me, there were two things. One, you sent me this like announcement, and I was like, cool. Green Lantern is not usually on my radar. I don't know why, just for whatever reason, I've never really gotten into Green Lantern as a character, or that universe. I'm aware of it. When he pops up, it's cool. I thought this was a cartoon. So I was
Mhm.
almost even less aware of it even after you really pointed out the creative team behind this, when I was putting these notes together, I realized, oh shit, this is a live action show on HBO with the creative team of Damon Lindelof, Tom King, and Chris Mundy from True Detective doing an HBO show. All right, I think I'm going to be excited about this.
Yeah, the I'm with you, man, because I'm not even a huge Lantern guy. I don't read Green Lantern comics really. I'm aware of him. My most exposure to Green Lantern, and it's a rotating cast of who actually has the mantle of Green Lantern. But my most exposure to him is when he's part of the Justice League and just kind of like being a guy cracking
Mhm.
jokes a little bit. His powers are cool, but I just never have been like, oh, Green Lantern comics. I'm gonna read and take these in. So my knowledge of Green Lantern is minimal, but at the same time, seeing a live action DC show, like you said, that's on HBO proper, and I think the main reason for that is because of this creative team you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Um, man, Damon Lindelof, love what he's done, especially with the shows he's kind of been the head of.
On HBO.
He's one of the main writers of Lost, so that's kind of where we first learned him. He's like him and J.J. Abrams were kind of the voices behind Lost,
Mm-hmm.
and then Watchmen. I mean, one of the best seasons of television ever, um, arguably. I love The Leftovers, one of my favorite HBO shows. Only had 3 seasons. Wish it would have went more. Love you, Leftovers. But he's just a guy who makes good stuff. He's got Mrs. Davis out there, which I kind of tried but didn't get through. Maybe I'll try it again one day. Um, and then you add in Tom King, one of my still to this day, ever since he started with Batman, my first introduction to him, like several years back, has just been one of my consistently favorite comic book writers. I was excited when he was going to be writing the New Gods movie with Ava DuVernay, but that kind of got shelved, and that kind of made me sad. I was like, I'd love to see this guy do something besides comics. You know, write a TV show. He's totally got the chops for it. Anybody out there who's read any of his stuff knows this dude knows how to write a damn story.
Yeah.
So them two combined, and then you said Chris Monday. You said True Detective, but I know him. I don't. I think he might have been involved in that. He was also the showrunner on Ozark, though. So if you've watched Ozark, like that whole world is him helming this show and those two guys doing it. What's not to be excited about? I
Yeah,
think it'll be
Ozark. He did.
pretty cool.
He was the showrunner for True Detective: The Night Country, so the most newest season of True Detective. So,
Was
the
he? I thought that was a woman who was the
I don't know. It
showrunner.
just says I maybe he might not be the showrunner. He might have been something. They just
Something to
said
do with
Chris
it.
Mundy, and in parentheses it says True Detective Night Country / Ozark. So I don't know what his role was on True Detective Night Country, but he was involved in the creation of that one and Ozark. So I don't
Okay.
know
Okay.
what his actual role was.
Well, either way, I mean, both things are good, examples of good TV. So
Yes,
basically, what I'm trying to say is, you take those three guys and you put them together on something. What's not to be excited for?
kind of.
Yeah, no.
And if they do a gritty HBO show, kind of almost, I'm picturing like Watchmen, like something a little bit more grounded, a little bit more real, but still having that like fantastical superhero element, having like a Earth-based dark. I mean, it says dark Earth-based mystery, investigating a murder, intergalactic cops. Like, really, what's not to like about this?
Well, that's
Um,
what the Green Lantern Corps is, space cops.
mhm.
So like if you take a True Detective mystery or whatever, and it's just like cops trying to solve it, like it's fucking Law and Order, but it's Green
Dum-dum.
Lanterns doing it.
Yeah, that does sound cool.
I
It does
mean,
sound cool.
the possibilities are there for it to be something definitely of quality. So
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, well, and I can't wait to start hearing some casting for some of these characters and seeing, I mean, how we really start getting some of these first live action versions of these characters. I know we've seen Hal Jordan once before in
Terrible.
the, yes, yeah. I watched that movie not too long ago when I was visiting my dad. We had it on, and yeah, it's a rough movie, but it was fine. But if I was a Green Lantern lover, I could
Yeah.
see why that movie gets so much hate
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it's just not, like I said, it came out in a period of time in which people were just obsessed with special effects. So you could tell that they just were like overboard and they didn't learn how to like balance. They were just
Sure.
like, we're just doing everything CGI, including the suit. And you're like, really? Did you need to CGI the suit too? Did you
But
need
they
to
did it.
CGI the eyes? Like,
Hopefully this show makes us forget about that.
it should, I imagine, especially I feel like I could, the way I'm seeing it in my head, just with the people involved and the correlations that I'm making, I think this could be a lot of fun. So I'm definitely excited for another prestige, hopefully HBO show. Hopefully this reaches the level that we are Sunday nights watching
Some DC.
HBO again, watching some heavy DC products on Sunday night HBO when we're used to, like you said, prestige television. So I'm excited. I'm excited. Honestly, I'm excited for all these projects. So
So
DC, I hope they
that
don't let me down.
that kind of raises the question, just to wrap all this up, is you and I have been on record as being down on DC,
Yeah,
and they're I don't know if that's just the remnants of our feelings from the whole Snyderverse and how they treated that and how that ended and how confusing it was. Uh, Announcing the James Gunn taking over way too early, which kind of made Blue Beetle and Kazam and Black Adam and all those things kind of
Flash
irrelevant. Hmm?
and Flash.
Yes, and Flash kind of made all those things feel irrelevant because like it made it feel like it didn't matter. So that, and obviously all those projects suffered because of that. Like nobody participated in the watching of those things because mainly for the reason like, what does it matter? What do I care? But I
Right.
think now finally, once we're past all those things, Superman's filming, we got these shows coming out, we got this animated Batman coming out. Is DC actually starting to turn a corner? Um, that's kind of my hope. Um, we got these two shows that we know that are going to be on HBO, so they're HBO quality. Meanwhile, Marvel's got their shows on Disney Plus, and they all look kind of like, you know, for the most part. So, like, will DC turn this corner and kind of take the reins in the superhero game going forward? Like we last episode, you and I were talking about, like it's going to be hard for Marvel to bring us back into an excitement level that we had in 5-10 years ago during the Infinity Saga. Like I can't see myself getting back there. Can DC come in and step in and take the place of that in our hearts and minds, is be like, I'm really excited for all these DC projects. um it's hard to know for sure now, but just Is it something that could happen?
Yes, it is something that could happen because the main difference between what DC is doing right now and what Marvel's doing right now is that DC is like rebooting all of their big heavy hitters. We're sitting here right now talking about Green Lantern, Batman, and Superman. Those are the like three of the biggest hitters that they have
Mhm.
within Green or within the DC universe. So Marvel talking you're talking about Wonder Man. Nobody gives a shit about Wonder Man. Like that's just
Hardcores do, but
I
yeah.
mean hardcores do and that's fine. And like I said, I'm not telling you it's not cool, but like a normal audience like is one are people going to watch the Wonder Man show to the level in which people would watch is going to or watch the Penguin or watch Lanterns?
I don't think so, no.
So I mean it's one of those things that it's a different they're in completely different places. So you almost can't even compare them anymore. But yes, we're talking about hype and getting hyped up. A Superman movie should hype us up. If they
Mhm.
can't do that, then shame on them that they screwed this up so bad again, after the Snyderverse thing. And I enjoyed everything about the Snyderverse for what it was
To a point.
to a point, but like these are their big things. So I mean, yes, these now that we're starting to see these projects, we're starting to see trailers for these projects, we're starting to get these projects, then that should be all good things come in and they should be starting to gain some momentum with this now that this train is out of the station.
Mhm.
But they have to deliver now.
Yeah. Like I said, we have our criticisms and we talk our trash, but I root for DC to be
Yeah.
good. I want it to be good. I want to enjoy it. I love those characters and I love the stories when they're just done right. Same with Marvel. I root for them.
Yeah.
I just comment on what gets put in front of me, but I want both things to be good. So if both are good, then we're living a good life.
Yeah.
So that's, I'll put my pom poms and my cheerleader suit on for this and like, come on, guys, deliver, make some good
Well,
quality stuff.
and the thing that they have going for them that Marvel doesn't at the moment is that Marvel is tied in with Disney. And Disney's got a larger track record of more IPs because we're talking, I don't know, Star Wars gets mixed up with Marvel and some of those shows, and they're all on Disney Plus, which is all tied into all that stuff. And they all have a very similar feel to them now. So it's like, and you almost feel like you have people. John Favreau was starting the MCU, and then he moved over and started doing Star Wars. So you have a lot of just like creative teams that are all infused with each other, and a lot of those shows aren't good. So it's like they kind of just keep having miss after miss, in my opinion, and then they kind of just start to pile up when it's a Disney Plus show. You're just kind of like, oh, well, Acolyte is okay, Mandalorian is okay. Oh, I can't even think of the last Secret Invasion. And when you start getting miss after miss after miss just on a platform, you start to like weigh all those together. Where here HBO is HBO, and it's been a while since we had a DC project anyway. At least part of this obviously new regime. So I'm excited for it. Hopefully they can deliver. That obviously is going to be what it comes down to. Can they deliver a quality product that does something different or tells a story differently or really has the creative freedom to do what they want to do and not be tied down to a connected universe like the MCU currently is? And hopefully, I know they want to tell their big story as well and build towards the Justice League and do all this stuff, but hopefully they take their time to do that. And especially if we don't even know if this Batman and Penguin aren't part of the James Gunn universe. So that's a whole other debate that we
That's
could
a
talk
whole
about
other
forever.
yeah,
But
for sure.
hopefully they can do some standalone projects and just have a good time with it and they deliver quality is what I want right now. So hopefully we get it.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
excited. I'm hopeful. These are definitely cool things. What do you think about DC announcements that happened this week? How do you feel about Superman, Batman, Penguin, Lantern? Anything else that's coming up here? Any of the set leaks things we didn't talk about? You know how you let us know. You hit us over at social media at Raised a Geek, YouTube, Raised a Geek. Like, follow, subscribe, podcast everywhere at Raised a Geek. You can also shoot us an email with your direct thoughts with no character limits at raisedageek at gmail.com, where we are everywhere looking for those 5-star reviews. So make sure you hit us up to help spread the show and spread geekdom around the universe.
The universe.
Universe. You got any final thoughts on DC or what we talked about this week or just in general that you'd like to share? Jerry Springer's final thoughts. Go.
Uh, no final thoughts. I think we laid it all out there. So yeah, man. Very excited, and let's see what the future brings.
Love it. Love it. Well, I think that's going to do it for us this week. So for Raised the Geek, I'm Chris.
And I'm done.
And thanks for checking out the show.
Where geek is all we speak.